have a few things prepared. So I thought the first one is a rumor that we talked about recently.
Ooh.
I think it's a fun rumor.
Okay.
It has I looked it up and it has been debunked. But
okay.
I love the
Oh, I think I know which rumor it is,
the
because that's one
rumor
of my
is-
favorite rumors too.
correct. So the first two things I guess I want to talk about is FIA related.
Yes.
If you're unfamiliar, the FIA is the
Governing body.
the governing body of many motorsports series, including Formula One, World Endurance Championship. So many.
Yes.
Right. Including also like World Rally Championship. So yeah, plenty organizations or series race underneath their
Especially four-wheeled racing.
exactly four-wheel racing that happens underneath the FIA banner, or they're the governing body for them.
Yes.
So if you're unfamiliar with the FIA, the FIA president is voted, I think, every few years. I don't know exactly when it happened. So currently we have Mohammed Ben Sulayem. And he is
Not very popular.
incredibly unpopular.
Yes.
I actually think he's the worst.
Yes.
I don't like him at all. I don't think it's an unpopular opinion to have.
No.
Because he has made a lot of unpopular choices.
Yes.
That I think are more harmful for the sport. And I'm talking specifically also about F1.
Yeah,
But
and
also a lot of the changes that he did actually make. We talk a lot about them in the aspect or in the view of F1, Formula One. However, they do impact all sports that are under the FIA banner.
Yes.
And so sometimes it might be like, well, if they do it like this, then it's not too bad. But in other sports, it might be different.
Yes.
So the first thing I want to talk about is that there was rumors that Susie Wolf, who is the head of F1 Academy, she's essentially the woman that made F1 Academy possible.
Yes.
And she is the head of it. She is the mind,
face of it.
the face of
Yeah.
it. She is Toto Wolff is her husband, who is the team principal and partial owner of the Mercedes Formula One team.
Yes.
So that's why this was always very unlikely. However,
Yeah, and she's her own race car driver in her own right. I mean,
she used to race. Yes,
she used to race. She's also the last woman who's ever driven an F1 car.
Yeah, in a Williams, she did a free practice session.
Yes.
She did really well.
I mean, she has an
actually.
incredible career.
Yes.
And yeah.
She used to have a different job within the FIA, but then now she does F1 Academy. And so there was rumors because the re-election or the election for the F1 president is coming up. And so there was rumors that she was going to throw her head into the race.
Her head?
And, her hat.
Yes.
Sorry, not her head. She throws that whole. I mean, we need her mind, right?
Yeah.
But her hat into the race. Damon Hill, who's also a 1996 F1 champion. Yes. He he said on his Instagram story that he thought she would be perfect for it. However, she has actually since then said like this is not happening.
Not now.
I think it's also like a not now thing. It would of course be she would be the first woman to ever do it. Which it doesn't matter like what gender or whatever you are who does it. I think I just don't want it to be Ben. I don't know if there's any other people running for this. I also don't know if the other person would have a big chance because I don't know if. So we know Jean Todt was the FIA president before it was Ben. So I don't know what the process was for Ben to become. I don't know if there was a lot of contenders.
Yes.
I don't know any of that. But as of right now, she said she's not running for it. This would also be, of course, a big issue with Toto Wolff still being the team principal. I think maybe if he would step away from being the principal of an F1 team, if he would just be owner, I think it would be fine. I think it's a tricky area.
Yes.
But he just owns, I think, a lot of the Mercedes team. So I don't know if he'd be willing to give that up.
Yes. No.
Especially if they might be coming back. However, this goes into my second point.
Okay.
So one of the reasons why the F1 or FIA is so unpopular is also there's a lot of issues with also new rules that they're coming in. There's also inconsistency with the way rules are applied. Also, there's also this issue with transparency, what is happening with the fines.
Yes.
So this is like my second point. This is like a two-parter. So last year for F1 drivers, the FIA has collected a total of 270,000 euros was
Wow.
taken out of the pockets of the drivers by the sport. Besides, this does not include any postponed fines. So
Okay.
usually fines have to be paid, I think, within 24 hours.
Okay.
But some of them, if there's maybe like arguments or whatever,
Discrepancies
or whatever, they're pushed back.
Gotcha.
So then there is the head of the single-seater racing, Nicolas Tombazis, did an interview earlier this year because people were like, well, what is happening with this money?
Yeah.
Right? And so he was like, so all the money is spent on what is considered beneficial aspects, whether it is for safety, for grassroots in motorsports, or sometimes other projects which are to do with road safety. And then he also mentioned that a lot more money than was taken in goes into grassroots motorsports, which I'm a fan of.
Yes.
Right? However, it does not give any insight on what actually, it's very much a non-answer.
Yes.
And
It seems so unspecific.
it's like, well, it goes into this and then this and this. It's like, what did you this afternoon? Well, I was here and there and everywhere.
Yeah.
It's like, it's so much of a non-answer. And George Russell was one of the people that brought it up this year. It's like, what is happening with all this money? What are you using this for, right?
Yes.
Because this guy was also like, the FIA is not a for-profit organization. They are a non-profit organization, right?
They do act like they're for profit.
Yeah, so it's like, it's what is going on here, you know? And
I mean, I remember also just quickly on the non-profit for-profit aspect of this is I had recently seen an interview with a guy, and I think I had shown it to you, about wanting to bring F1 to the Indianapolis racetrack.
Yes.
But he was saying it's so expensive. I think just getting Formula One there just to race, it's like $19 million or some crazy number like that, and that doesn't mean anything. That's just to pay them to show up, essentially.
Yeah, that's not to host it.
No, exactly. Then you have to upgrade your infrastructure. You have to improve things to bring it up to standard for Formula One. And like, yes, you'll get a lot of money, but that's also why F1 is so fucking expensive.
Yeah, and it's also, I read that it was one of the reasons why there were no races in Germany, because they were like, we're not willing to spend the 20 million. I know that they're redoing the Hockenheim ring with the new owners and stuff like that, so it might be coming back. I mean, I would love it too, of course. In Germany, it would be a bigger incentive if we also had like a big German driver, right? Of course. It's been like almost 10 years now since we had a champion. 2016, right, is when he won the championship. So it's like, it's a lot of like you making all this money, but where is this money going to, right? And there's once again like such a non-answer. Yeah. And this is just F1, right?
Yes.
270,000 euros is about $290,000. Yeah. So about $300,000 that they made. And it's just like, it seems like you're saying you're not for profit, but you're doing all this stuff, right?
I know.
I
think if they would say like, okay, this season, all the fines go to this kind of thing.
It doesn't even have to be this kind of thing, but then show us. Yes. Like show us where this money was spent. Or that,
yes,
you know?
Exactly. But it's so like it's a little, it's sus.
It is, and it's like
because we don't trust the leadership.
We don't.
So it makes it even more sus.
Yeah, exactly.
Just also because of some of these rules that they're implementing, it seems like those rules are focusing on, I don't know if the right word is perception, or like to make the FIA not look bad, or to like do these kinds of things. And I'm like, that's not what this is supposed to be about.
So, and this goes into my other point, is so at the beginning of the year, the FIA came up with a rule. I guess this was very much pushed by Ben. I am first name basis, I guess, with him. And essentially, drivers can get a $10,000 fine for cursing, right? And they can get and they can also get a fine. So this is coming from Article 12.2.1 F of the Appendix B, Stewart's Penalty Guidelines. So this is directly from the FIA. Any words, deeds, or writings that have caused moral injury or loss to the FIA, its body, its members, its executive officers, and more generally on the interest of motorsport and on the values defended by the FIA. So if they feel like you've infringed on that, so But this also means is that you cannot criticize us.
Yes.
You cannot criticize us because, and if we took offense to it, then you get a 10,000 offense. This is for the first offense. For the second offense, it's another 20,000 plus a 1 month suspension. And the third offense is another 30,000 plus a 1 month suspension plus deduction of championship points, right? And this all seems not okay. No. And then there was a rally racer.
Yes.
In the world rally championship, who ended up getting like a $30,000 fine.
Yes.
For cursing in the post-race interview. So, Ocon and I guess a lot of drivers before the Australian Grand Prix, they had a talk with the stewards, and they were like, "Listen, we're not going to be mad at you guys if you guys curse on the radio, but if you guys curse in the post-race interviews, I don't know how it works with the cool down room that they have." But you guys get penalties for that. Yeah. We don't like it when you guys curse there. However, in rally, the way it works is of course, there's constant communication between the driver and their co-pilot. However, when they get to the finish line, immediately the doors open and a microphone is held into their face.
Yes.
They're, of course, at high adrenaline. Yeah. If you've never watched a rally championship, go on YouTube, look up, Monte Carlo.
Yeah.
Rally race, 5 minutes, and you will know why they are going to be cursing in their post-race interview, because it's absolutely insane.
It's literally life and death at times.
Yes, absolutely.
It's absolutely bonkers. High stakes, so fast paced, speed is fast. The obstacles or like the turns and things you have to make, the surfaces you drive on. I mean, it's absolutely bonkers, high intensity. And so, like, yes, I mean, that was one of my points also, the censorship. Because obviously looked it up too. And I mean, it's just so bonkers. But the cool thing is, I don't know if you saw that or if that's part of your thing, is that the rally drivers got together too.
Correct.
Yes.
So this is where I'm going with this. So the World Rally Drivers Alliance statement after. So they essentially created like a drivers union or alliance.
Yes, so F1 drivers have that as well, in a way.
F1, yes.
So,
and they released a statement, and they were like, sorry, I wanted to finish my point with F1 earlier. So I guess the drivers from F1, they had a agreement, and the stewards were like, this is how it works, right? Yes. And then it seemed like a lot of drivers were like, okay, we can make peace with that if I can curse on the radio, because you, first of all, don't have to show that.
Yes.
It's your option or your choice to show it on the broadcast, right? And it's also like, listen, these guys are driving cars that are going 250 miles an hour.
Yeah.
If you're going to say the F word, then say the fucking F word.
Yeah.
You know, sorry, if you don't like it, then watch the kids race.
Kids version,
the kids version, you know. So it seems like the FIA didn't have that conversation with the rally drivers, right? So they released a statement. So I'm going to read this right now. So they did this after the WRC Kenya shakedown. And then this past weekend was the Kenya rally.
Yes.
And we all agreed to keep rudeness at the microphone to a minimum. At the same time, it is necessary to maintain a certain freedom of expression and to keep emotions alive, while drivers don't need to be afraid of getting punished in any way. We have asked the president of the FIA for some positive changes in the rules to help us achieve this goal. For the reason explained in our statement, it is impossible for us to guarantee that we, drivers and co-drivers, will be able to follow these rules perfectly and systematically. This is why we WRDA members, so World Rally Drivers Alliance.
Yeah.
Members are now taking we are now taking the responsible decision to remain silent at the end of the interviews or to answer in our mother tongue. In the own interest of our sport, such an action is unfortunately needed, and we apologize to all the rally fans, even though we know they support us in this.
Which they do.
I'm 100% supporting the drivers because fuck the FIA. Yes. I said it here and I meant it. Not all parts of it, but that part of it specifically.
But I also heard like that they had made the statement and the FIA have not communicated with them.
They have not communicated, but I did look it up, and there's a compilation video, and I'm going to link it below, that a lot of drivers ended up after stage one. They either didn't answer, they're like, you know why I can't answer, or they answered in their mother tongue. And I think that's really awesome because this is the unity you need. Because people will show up, because we're watching F1, right? because of the drivers,
Yes.
you know. And if they all drivers come and pull on one string, we're like, well, we're not going to do this.
Yes.
You're not going to treat us like this. And this will, in the end, hurt their viewership,
Yes.
which is money
Yeah.
and sponsors that you're upsetting.
Yeah.
This is how you get rule changes.
Yes.
And I love that you have the WERDA and they're all pulling on the same string,
Yes.
or most of them.
Yeah.
You know, I didn't see every post-race interview, but I think it's really, really awesome that they're doing this. And I hope there will be better communication. And no one is saying that in the post-race interview,
Yes.
right? That you like, okay, please don't be excessive with your cursing,
Yes.
right? But if one word slips out, then God forbid, who cares?
Seriously.
Like, you're making an issue where there was never an issue.
I agree. And I had also seen that apparently the first two drivers that came down during the shakedown also, they had just explained that this is what's going to be happening. And then the following drivers that had come down for at least the top, quote unquote, top drivers, they all followed that, which I think is really cool. I like that they're all united. And I think that there's power in that. And I think the same thing could happen in F1 if all the drivers come together and pull on the same string.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
So yeah, I agree. I had that same point because I mean it's such a big point right now.
I had a feeling you might have it because we talked about it outside of the pod before about it.
Because I mean, it's just such a big thing, and I love to see that they're all united in this. Yes.
So.
Yes.
What do you got?
All right. Well, I mean, we talked about my point number 1 already. I have 2 more things.
I have one more thing.
I have 3 more things. I'll start with the rally part of it.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah.
Because I have something rally related, but not censorship. So, which I think is really cool, and I think that's something for us to keep an eye on, maybe. So. This year was for the first time Rally had a program that's called Beyond Rally Women's Driver Development Program.
Okay.
So it was a competition for women drivers and co-drivers to compete in, I think it was...
You think Patricia's there?
I don't think so because it's for new drivers.
The
goal is to foster new women in rally because we haven't...
First name basis with her.
Yeah, I know. She's an excellent co-driver if you don't know. She was...
Michelle Mouton.
Yeah, her co-driver, and she still to this day is a co-driver. And
she's in her 60s.
60s, yes.
And
bonkers.
Michelle Mouton is probably the most successful female racer of all time.
Yes, at this current time, yes.
Current time, absolute legend. There's a free documentary that's about an hour long on YouTube.
Yes.
I highly recommend watching because what magic these two women have created.
Yes, 100%.
And also at a time no one could have thought.
Yes, exactly. I agree. So highly recommend it. But so the exciting thing is Rally is now trying to figure out ways to bring more women into the sport. So they had this year for the first time the Beyond Rally Women's Driver Development Program, which was a competition. And then they had this big showdown scheduled for the Central European Rally. It was 2 women were competing as part of the big rally. And both of the women teams were so good that the judges couldn't decide. So they had to do another showdown, which was so cool. I didn't get to see it, but I read a bunch about it, so I thought it was really interesting. So they came back, I believe, for Rally Sweden, so ice, snow. And then a German, Claire Schönbrunn, won.
Claire, let's go, let's go, let's go.
Which is so exciting. And so she got now a fully funded junior WRC seat.
That's awesome.
And then the next race is in Portugal, which I believe...
Oh, gorgeous. Portugal.
Yeah.
Oh, come on.
I know, seriously.
I mean, Kenya is also so gorgeous.
I mean, a lot of the rally locations, if not all of them, are breathtakingly beautiful for different reasons.
That's maybe part of the point. Let's race through this gorgeous, scenery. But, Portugal.
Yes.
We went to Portugal like, what is it, 3 years ago?
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my God, Portugal is so gorgeous.
So I think that's the race where she will be competing in next. That's in May. So there's a little bit of time. So I want to keep my eye out for her. But I think it's so cool because also she started as an engineer.
Oh, wow.
She go to school for engineering and then she got this kind of overnight success in a way. So she's definitely somebody I want to keep an eye on now.
Sorry, not to divert from this, but this reminds me of that radio host that we were talking about. This happened last year, I think, where this radio host, she was like, I don't get rally. What is this all about? Blah, blah, blah. And so one of the drivers was like, well, then come with me. And now she is like a co-pilot or something like that. I was that is so awesome. I love how different ways people fall into the sports or motorsport in general, because I genuinely believe, and this is, of course, one of the reasons why we're doing this, like there is a type of racing probably out there for every single person to enjoy. and even maybe to participate.
Yeah.
Because I think a lot of people think maybe it's just like, oh, it's only for certain type of people. But besides Formula One, there's a lot of racing that you can also get into at a much later age.
Yes. I
and
mean,
you can drive it also competitively.
Yes.
You know, you can, there's people in the WEC there in their 60s.
Oh, 100%. I mean, you do have to have the funds for it.
Yeah, of course.
That's
But
the
if you're
one
like,
thing,
I want to go on a track, or I want to go on, it's like,
Yeah.
it doesn't matter how old you are, you know, do it.
Yeah. No, I agree. So I thought it was really exciting. So that's why I wanted to share that.
That's really awesome.
My next point that I had, it's not news. Or maybe I'll do this first, because this is a little bit sadder. I mean, probably you already know and everybody knows, but I still wanted to give him a moment. Eddie Jordan passed away this week at the age of 76. He had an aggressive form of prostate cancer.
I think it was just diagnosed
He
recently.
was, for the last 12 months, he's been battling it. So he passed away amongst his family, a home, which was nice.
Huge bummer.
In Kapstadt, South Africa.
Cape Town.
Thank you. And so I just wanted to give him a moment on our pod. I mean, he's a legend. He was a driver himself, a race car driver himself. He owned the Jordan team. He gave a lot of new rookies great opportunities. He was the one that gave Michael Schumacher his debut opportunity.
In the blue and yellow Jordan, right?
And then also like Barrichello, he got his time with him and different things. So they had a little bit of success with Jordan.
And then he did the podcast together with David Coulthard.
Yeah, and he was a pundit, essentially. Like, he was on Sky Sports and I think BBC and a bunch of different things. He was a commentator.
legend all around Formula One specifically.
Exactly. He was a race car driver. He was a team chef. He was a commentator. I mean, he did all of it.
He was very involved in the sport.
Exactly. So I just wanted to give him a moment.
And condolences to family and friends.
Exactly.
So thanks for bringing it up. I actually totally forgot about that.
No problem. And then on a little bit more lighter note,
because I'm gonna ruin it with my last one.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, good thing I'm on this one then. So do you know Bernie Ecclestone, right?
Yes.
So I don't know, did you hear about him selling his big F1 collection?
I did not know that.
So it's been in talks for months.
Did you buy me something?
Imagine. So he has this huge F1.
If you had the money to do it, I'd be like, I'm not going to work tomorrow.
I'd be like, and this is what we're filming?
Yeah.
No, so he had this big F1 and race car collection of 69 cars, including F1 cars from the 1950s, including F1 race cars from Michael Schumacher had won in, Niki Lauda has driven in. I mean, an extensive collection. So it was up for sale.
All of it.
All 69 cars.
Interesting. I wonder if he didn't want to deal with his will.
It was something part of like a treaty, trust kind of situation.
I wonder because I just looked him up. He's 94. So,
yeah. So I'm not quite sure exactly where he wanted to make sure that they go in good hands, which apparently he's very happy with where it went. And from what it sounds like, I think it was a good idea. So the person who has bought the value of this collection is estimated at around 500 million pounds. British pounds. So it's a lot of dough, like $649 million or something like that. That's the estimated value. We don't know exactly how much it was sold for.
646,
So we don't know exactly how much it was sold for, but we know it went to, I think he's the youngest billionaire.
Oh my goodness.
He is the heir of the Red Bull.
Of course, because he passed away last year, right?
The dad passed away 2022, I think. So it's been 2 years or almost 3.
Oh.
Yeah. So the son, Mark Mateschwitz. I think is his name.
Yes.
He passed away in 2022, and so his son, the heir of the Red Bull empire, bought the entire collection.
That's crazy.
And apparently, the idea is to make it add on to the collection. And then make it accessible in a way to the public.
Oh, like put a museum or something like
exactly. Like they're talking about maybe building a museum and then putting everything on display, which I selfishly love the idea for there to be one museum with like a bunch of F1 and more race
cars.
cars.
He's young.
Yeah, he's 32.
He's my age, and he's worth $40 billion. I mean, damn, I got the wrong parents or something like that. We, I guess.
Yes, we do. No, we love our parents.
Yeah, we love it. Yeah, but joke. Obviously,
Yeah.
But goddamn, you're 33. You're my age. I mean, I'm not 32. I'm 22. I'm young.
But I think it's so cool that he bought the whole thing. And then I think from what I've read, Bernie wanted it to go to somebody who he would appreciate it. There was a bunch of like wealth funds and things that were interested in buying the cars, probably to maybe divvy it up or for like personal reasons. But Mark apparently wants to make it available. I think maybe it was part of the agreement. I'm not sure.
I mean, 40 billion, you can spend 500 on stuff that just goes up in value.
I mean, yes.
Right? Like, this is not going to depreciate, right?
And then you build a museum, and then you make money from people coming, money from people buying souvenirs, money from people buying the most expensive food and drinks and things. It's a long-term investment, but also as just a car fan, and I'm sure he's a sports car fan.
100%.
That this is just an incredible thing to own.
Yeah.
You know? And I've seen pictures of the cars. I mean, they're absolutely gorgeous. You know, like this collection is just.
I mean, also because it's through the years, and we've watched some old school F1 stuff, and like the cars, insane the way they look, right?
So I thought that was just really cool. It's a couple days old. It's the news from like earlier in March, but I thought it was just such a fun thing to know.
Oh yeah, I'm looking at it. Gorgeous.
Yes.
A lot of red.
Yes.
Okay. You have one more, you
said?
No,
that's all I have.
Okay. So the last one I have is in regards to another league that we absolutely adore and love, which is MotoGP.
Oh, yes, we love MotoGP.
And so one thing, just two things. So one thing I think is a little bit heartbreaking, which I didn't realize, is that Jorge Martin, current reigning champion.
Yes.
So he missed the first two races of the year. He will be missing the next race also. And so I just read also, it's not guaranteed that he will be coming back for the fourth race. So I think the goal is the fourth race will be sometime in April.
Yeah.
But it's not a guarantee yet. The whole time I was assuming, okay, he's going to miss. First I was like, oh, he's going to miss the first two.
That's fine.
That's fine. And then I was like, okay, the first three, but then guaranteed he will be back on the fourth. Not guaranteed.
Oh, that's so heartbreaking. It's just also because we don't know yet how he will do on the Aprilia. You know, I mean, Besecchi has been doing well.
Yes.
On it,
but it's just heartbreaking.
Yeah. Ugh.
And then the other thing I wanted to talk about is also relating to Jorge Martin. So Aprilia essentially requested, because Jorge Martin got so badly injured in pre-season testing. So he never even got a good chance on the bike.
Yes.
So essentially they went in and they were like, hey, can we get some testing for Jorge Martin? Right? So he can get acclimated with the bike. And Ducati was like, no. And, okay. Oh, I see your face. Sorry for punching the microphone if you heard that. So I 100% agree with Ducati because Ducati's reasoning also makes sense to me. They were like, in 2023, we had the same issue with Enea Bastianini, and he didn't get the chance.
Yes.
So I'm like, an eye for an eye, first of all. And then they were also like, Jorge Martin will be one of our biggest competitors.
Yeah.
Why would we? They didn't say it like this, but they did say, Jorge Martin, we're expecting to be competitive.
Yeah.
Why give him the edge?
No.
And I get it. It makes perfect sense to me.
Yeah.
Why you wouldn't give the guy who's currently reigning champion, who absolutely killed the Saturdays last season, right? He won the championship through winning so many Saturday races, right? And also being like consistent, not falling off the bike. However, the good thing is a lot of drivers and also like the team boss Davide Tardozzi from Ducati was like, we're actually very open to an official rule change where drivers would be able to test before coming back on there. So a lot of them are like, yes, that would be good with us. I think Marc Marquez also said that he would be favorable if that change would happen. But it is not an official rule.
Yeah.
And it's not official like that you're allowed to do that.
Yes.
So that's why Aprilia was requesting it. So of course both of us, we're kind of rooting for Marc this year.
Yeah.
We are, but I'm not only saying that because like Ducati, like I'm kind of rooting for them, but I'm also like, it makes perfect sense.
No, I get
Why
it.
give the guy that will probably going to be a headache for you? Why give him the edge?
Yeah, I think my shocking reaction was mostly because, of course, they're like, no.
Yeah, of course. I would be like,
but,
what? Why would you say no?
But I completely get it.
Yeah.
One, as a competitor standpoint. Two, I think it would be a good idea to maybe implement just a rule, like all around. Maybe we'll do it next season because we have to start off on a clean slate. Everybody has the same like rules, because now if we do it, it would be just like an exception, a favor. Is it a favor because he is the reigning champ, you know? So it would not necessarily be as fair. Maybe it sucks, but it's nobody else's fault.
Yeah,
you know,
I think they said like 3 of the 4 manufacturers or something like that would have been agreed to that, but Ducati said no, and I get it.
Like I get it.
Yeah, you're only hurting yourself, right? If he was a Ducati driver, you'd probably be like, do it. But then also, if they're like, well, with Enea, we had the same situation. Excuse me, he wasn't allowed to test.
Yeah.
So why would we extend you the same courtesy, right?
Yeah, no.
So, and I agree with the sentiment, then do an overall rule change.
Yeah.
Put it in if a driver got hurt, get specific that they get some testing time, you know, depending on also how long the injury was, how much testing time to get there.
Yes.
Like figure it out, make it official.
Yeah.
And it also seems like everyone would be in favor for that change, right? So that's the last thing I wanted to bring up. A little bit of a bummer, 2 bummers for Jorge Martin.
Yeah.
I genuinely hope, even though I will not be rooting for him, I do want him on the track because he's a great rider.
No,
right?
I mean, it's also a great personality. I did grow fond of him. I was rooting for him at the end.
Yeah, you were the Martinator team.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it was.
That's what it is, yes.
I read it earlier.
Okay. But yeah, no, I get it. Yeah, it's definitely a bummer, but I'm very much excited to see him under grid sooner than later.
Yes, absolutely. I can't wait for him to come back.
Yes.
I think the season will be exciting. Of course, if you're a Marc Marquez fan like us, it's already been exciting.
Yes.
But I'm hoping for more of this. And yeah, so this is really all I had to share today.
Okay, perfect.
So this would wrap up the first episode of our podcast.
Yes.
First of all, thank you so much for tuning in. Also, especially if you made it to the end.
Yes,
I know this was quite long, but they're intended to be very conversational and long because it's a podcast. That's why we're also cutting it up in 3 parts on YouTube.
Yes.
If you want to see our faces, I guess check us out over there.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for showing up today on Sunday on your day off.
Thank you.
I'm expecting you back next week.
Okay, good. Yeah, me too.
And every Sunday from going on here forward.
On YouTube, we also continue to bring out our What to Watch videos on Thursdays.
What to Watch breaks down everything that you can watch racing related this upcoming weekend. We're also working on our website. I know we've talked about it, but we're not website designers, so this is taking a little bit longer. We're creating a calendar that breaks down what you can watch, when you can watch it, and very important, where you can watch it, because a lot of those racing leagues out there don't make it easy on where you can watch it. I don't know why they're always hiding it.
Yes.
It's a big frustration as a racing fan. So yeah, we're putting that all together. So if you are interested in that, check us out on YouTube, check us out on Spotify, on IG. I think we also have a Facebook. If
TikTok,
if you're on that, if you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe.
Yes.
Subscribe on Spotify. I don't actually know.
It's follow.
Follow us.
Yes.
Yeah, clearly I don't know how it works, but overall, thank you so much for showing up.
Yes.
This has been Race Plaza Media podcast number 1.
Yay!
And we'll be seeing you guys on Thursday for everything that you can watch racing related. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye-bye.